Chapter 37 Data Download. Returning to their home base, Graham and Bouncer downloaded the data they had hacked from Solar's towers and began to reviewing it. "There's a lot here, Graham," said Bouncer as he scrolled through the amassed data. "I can see, Bouncer, there is plenty we need to go through. Let's hope it reveals something," replied Graham. "What do you think we should be looking for?" "Well, I doubt they would reference it by solarium at this early stage. It would, however, require some form of laboratory to do the testing, that's for sure," advised Graham. "Okay, then laboratory it is," replied Bouncer as he typed furiously at a keyboard. A few seconds later, a list of query responses scrolled on the screen, all with one thing in common. "OMG, Graham, you will not believe how many references to laboratory there are." "Okay then, let's review the list." The majority were simply word associations. What they needed to do was filter for physical locations. As Bouncer tweaked the search parameters, the list shortened. "So these are all possible locations for the laboratory: Sweden, Siberia, Alaska, Iceland and Canada, Norway, Finland, Korea. It's a who's who list of freezing cold nightmare locations," observed Bouncer as he ran through the list. "How do you think we can shorten it and work out a possibility?" "Well, we know they will need to do full spectrum tests on the solarium. That would be mechanical, chemical, physical, and potentially electrical/magnetic. Okay, so we can cross-reference the laboratory sites and see which ones fit the bill." As they worked through the revised options, one site kept showing up, like the proverbial bad penny: Sweden. Looking further into the data, another name started appearing in relation to multidiscipline testing: Kiruna. Kiruna, the capital of Kiruna municipality and the northernmost town in Sweden, home to around 17,000 people. In the 1960s it was also home to the Esrange Space Center, the Institute of Space Physics, and Luleå University of Technology's Department of Space Science. The more Graham and Bouncer read, the more it struck them that it had to be the right place. Turning their research to online resources, rather than the stolen data, they found the site was managed by one Dr. Robert D. "It has to be Kiruna, Graham, it just has to be," Bouncer exclaimed, almost bouncing out of his skin. "I would have to agree, Bouncer, you know what this means," replied Graham. "Oh yes, more airline food and long waits and queues. Woohoo, God bless humans' love of queues and airlines," shrieked Bouncer. Graham could not believe how excited Bouncer was by the prospect of more flights. Within the next 24 hours they had made their travel plans, packed, or rather repacked their bags, and returned to Heathrow for their flight to Kiruna Airport. "Woohoo, Graham, we are off again. I feel like getting myself a tuxedo," said Bouncer excitedly. "What on earth for, Bouncer?" replied Graham. "You know James Bond, Johnny English, British spies, you know, Graham." "Yes, Bouncer, I think you would be a bit more Johnny Bond or Jimmy English," laughed Graham. As they flew off into the black skies for their overnight flight to Kiruna, they continued to laugh and play jokes on each other. What they hadn't seen was a dark figure following in their shadows, tracing their steps, almost as if it knew their every step. What they didn't know was the dark shadow was Barnaby. He'd worked most of it out, pieced the pieces together, and joined the dots. Now he just needed to confirm his suspicions before closing the loop and finally solving this mystery.